Good evening. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, The Voice of Truth. I want to say welcome to you all, and we have a special guest this evening, Senator John Moorlach of the California State Senate. He is joining us here on our program this evening. Steadfast protector of the people and their tax dollars, Senator John Moorlach is known as a fiscal conscience of California legislature. He began his public career in 1994 when, as a CPA and certified financial planner, he warned that Orange County highly leveraged investment strategies would lead to fiscal disaster. Orange County filed for bankruptcy protection that December, incurring historic $1.64 billion in investment losses. The incumbent county treasurer resigned in disgrace and would be convicted and serve time. Appointed to turn around the mess, John Moorlach quickly reorganized the treasurer's office, lowered the risk, cut costs, and made it more efficient and transparent. As an officer of the county, he assisted in its exits from Chapter 9 bankruptcy in 18 months without need of sales tax hikes. And Moorlach also played a significant role in obtaining more than $800 million in litigation settlements, the largest in the U.S. history at the time. John Moorlach's sound planning and diligent work ethic helped bring Orange County back to fiscal health and restored the people's trust. He earned a national reputation as an accessible expert in municipal finance. And also, I wanted to say one other more. Actually, I guess we already got to that point already, so let's just move on. I want to welcome at this time Senator Moorlach to my program. Hello, Senator.
Hello, David. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you, sir. I appreciate you coming to join us here. You didn't have to, but you came to join us, and I do appreciate you giving your constituents an opportunity to see you and to speak with you a little bit and to hear, at least hear what you have to say about this upcoming election. The first question I'd like to ask you is, I'd like to ask all the candidates to come on, who is John Moorlach? Who is John Moorlach?
Great question, David. John Moorlach immigrated to the United States as a small child, 4 and a half, in 1960. Grew up in Orange County, went to Long Beach State, worked for a CPA firm, became a partner. Also got my CPA and certified financial planner licenses along the way. Got involved in the local politics, got elected to the Orange County Republican Central Committee in 92, and in 94 they said, why don't you run for treasurer? And I said, I'm always treasurer every board I'm on, I don't want to do that. And they said, no, we're talking about Orange County treasurer, tax collector, countywide. And I didn't react well, but I did homework. And I was amazed at how the county was investing its cash. It should have just been in money market funds, but it was actually invested in a hedge fund manner where you borrow money at the short end of the yield curve and then buy bonds at the 4-year level. So you could buy at 3%, make 5%, you'd make the spread. And you were a hero as long as the short end stayed where it was and the long end stayed where it was. But the short end moves, and it started to rise, and as it rose, then the investment difference, the delta, got smaller and smaller because you had to borrow at 3-month increments for a 4-year bond. So when they became even, it was okay. But when the short end went above the long end, now you were going in negative territory and losing money.
Yeah.
But I had warned during the campaign in running against the treasurer tax collector that might happen because Alan Greenspan, the chair of the Federal Reserve, was raising interest rates to fight inflation back then. And I lost the election, which I shouldn't say I expected, but For someone that was brand new out of nowhere running against someone who'd been in office for 20 years, I got about 40% of the vote, which was good. But that was June, and by December 6th, the county filed for Chapter 9 bankruptcy, and then found itself having to liquidate the portfolio, lost the roughly $1.7 billion, and then a few months later I was appointed. So I served there in that position for 12 years. Got a little frustrated again when the Board of Supervisors voted for pension increases. Ran for the County Board of Supervisors in 2006. Because of the bankruptcy, we only have 2 terms. We're limited to 2 terms. And so in 2014, as I was finishing up in 2015, I was asked by a lot of friends to run for the state Senate in an open seat that occurred because Senator Mimi Walters was elected to Congress. And so I ran in a special and was able to get more than 50% of the vote. In the primary, didn't have to go to a runoff. And so I've been serving in Sacramento for 6 years. I was reelected in 2016. And so now I can run one more time this November, and we're having fun, enjoying a brutal campaign.
Yes, and boy, there's a lot of brutality going on in the marketplace today, that's for sure. I wanted to ask you something here in regard to who John Moorlach is, because I saw this in your on your website. It talks about you, I believe, and you and your wife. It says John and Trina lived in Costa Mesa and are proud grandparents. When his children were younger, John and his family spent family vacations traveling all over the beautiful California, visiting every county and photographing nearly all its 1,114 historical landmarks. I just wanted you to share maybe some short stories from that period of time of your travel across California. What did you see? What did you guys do when y'all went out traveling?
Well, David, this might be an idea for you. But, you could get the landmark listing from the State Historical Resources Commission. They publish it in a book, and so you kind of take the map and you look for where these landmarks are, and then you just go from landmark to landmark, and then when it's late afternoon, you look for a hotel and you catch as catch can, and it provided for some amazing opportunities to go on all the back roads and interesting places around the state. Of course, it took a long time, and after a while the kids go, we don't want to get out of the car and take a photo with another landmark.
Yeah, no.
But I can at least look at every colleague, all 119 fellow legislators, and say, I've been in your county, I've been in your district, and I can mention locations, and with that, there's always surprises, things you don't expect to see, or people you get to meet, or just interesting encounters. So this is a glorious state, and when you go to all these landmarks, it's hard to make sense of the whole history. It's sort of like needlepoint. But once you've seen it all and you turn it over, you kind of get the big picture, and you appreciate the missions and the early settlers and the gold rush and all the unique, historical events in California that we've enjoyed. So I'm a California history buff. I've collected California books. So I'm just finishing a book on Father Junipero Serra. That's just sort of the thing that I do. It was actually Thomas Sowell who kind of changed my life with his book in 1981 called Ethnic America. And he talked about all these ethnic groups that came to the United States and what they did. And one of the groups was the Jews, and how they went up the economic ladder twice as fast as anyone else. And so I found myself for the last 4 decades reading California or Western states Jewish history as well, just sort of inspirational reading. So between the history and all the fun reading, I've really grown to appreciate the state of California immensely. I'm just sorry that it's in the fiscal state that it's in. It could improve dramatically.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with us, Senator. I myself lived in California for about six and a half years in Los Angeles County. So I know it's a beautiful place. I've been up to Lake Tahoe. I've been up on the mountains up there, and the beautiful trees out there. So I've seen some, and I've also been to Sacramento. I've seen some portions of California, but I think the way I feel, I think it's very important. The family. The family is very important, and I like the fact that you went with your children, grandchildren, and it is very important to show them our country, the importance of our country and what we've accomplished in this country. We have a climate right now in this country that's coming out against the things that this country stands for. And I think family is a very important thing. And I'm going to ask you this next question, but I think in some words you may have already answered it. So right now we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back at you here on the Black Conservative Voice. And I'm David Colbert.
I'm Greg Raths. As a veteran, current council member, local businessman, I know our community. As your congressman, I'll fight to reduce healthcare costs, keep our cities safe, and our communities healthy. Our jobs protected, our economy growing, and our nation defended. Orange County is a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family, but together we can make it even better.
Vote Greg Raths for Congress.
I'm Greg Raths, and I approve this message.
To every single mother, every small business owner, every farmer, every cancer survivor, and every woman out there who has ever been put down by the establishment, it's time to stand up. On November 3rd, we need you to write in Ola Hawatma on the ballot under New York 19th Congressional. Make history in the New York 19th District with the first woman to win by a write-in. Don't just vote. Make history on November 3rd, 2020. Write in Ola Hawatma.
Dr. Melinda Morris supports a strong economy, safe neighborhoods, limited property taxes, and promotes an improved education system. Dr. Melinda Morris wants to improve access and insurance coverage for medical care. Dr. Morris is pro-life and will support right-to-life legislation in Austin. Dr. Morris will remain true to her values when she is elected to office. She is going to Austin to promote life, prosperity, and personal freedom for the constituents of Senate District 13.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Once again, I wanted to say that I think family is very important, and I see a family man like you and your wife and your family and stuff like that. I feel encouraged that something is going on in this nation that's keeping us going on the right track. So I advise the people in California, please re-elect John Moorlach to the 37th Senate District there, Senate District 37. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. I believe you already answered it, but we're going to ask it anyway. What will you bring to the California Senate District 37 that you haven't already brought? And if you could tell us what your plans are for the future there, moving forward in the office there as the senator for that district.
Well, let me see if I understand the question, David. You're asking me if I'm going to bring something new this next 4 years that I haven't brought before?
Yes, something new, or either some new direction you want to county ahead in.
Well, maybe I could backtrack and say that some of the things I bring to the position is, one, history, experience, and roots. Because I was a county-wide official, I know just about everybody in the county, so I have a really great network, and I've been able to utilize that. I've also brought issues to my job, focused on finances, focused on mental health, homelessness, and we've been also focused strongly on trying to reduce wildfires. So we've had a lot of fun the last 6 years. What I'd like to do in the next 4 is improve the business climate. We have what's called PAGA, Private Attorney General Attorney Act, which allows people to sue companies over minor issues and tie them up in court and get settlements, which is very expensive for businesses. So it's a tough one to reform. There's also CEQA reform that needs to be done so we can maybe start building better and more efficient and cheaper housing. So there's just a lot of things in the state code that needs to be improved on. And I want to continue on trying to harden assets for utilities, something that I've been working on here in Orange County. We have too many fires that have been started caused by
Yes.
deferred maintenance of high voltage power lines that break, snap in a wind condition. And we've seen too many people lose property and lives. So I want to
Yes.
kind of continue in that vein as well.
That's very good. And the reason why I asked I said earlier that I knew some of the stuff you've already answered already, and some of the stuff I even talked about earlier on. But to me, it's important every year, every election year, for the voters to be reminded of what you stand for and what your experience is. Because if they're not, some of them may not even know you. They might just move into the district. Even though you've been in the district for a while, I think it helps the people who do not know you to get a better idea of who you are, even though it seems like sometimes year after year we're kind of repeating the same things as you're elected, re-elected, and things like that. But of course, I don't know you because I'm not in California, but so that helps me also to understand, what's going on there in the Senate District 37.
I think
You spoke.
you're really right, David. I mean,
Yeah.
94 was a long time ago, right, when the bankruptcy occurred. So if
Yeah.
I'm talking to someone who's 50 years old, they go, oh, yeah, we know who you are. And then if I'm talking
Yeah.
to someone who's in college, they're going, what do you mean the county filed for bankruptcy? So
They have no idea.
I think you're making a really good observation. I appreciate that.
Yeah, all right. So now what I wanted to find out about, because there's a big problem, not only in California, but in the nation regarding mental illness and homelessness. And there was a law, I believe, I had some paperwork on that. Maybe you could elaborate on that. And that one law was Laura's Law. And then if you could tell us a little bit of what you see going on in the mental health issues there in District 37 and the homelessness issue there.
Give me an hour and I'll have a lot of fun with this subject, David.
We got some time. Don't rush. Just tell me what you got to tell me.
Laura's Law came about in 2002. It was Assemblywoman Helen Thompson who reacted to the killing of an intern in Nevada County, California. Her name was Laura Wilcox, and this individual had schizophrenia, and he came into a social services agency office and proceeded to kill and shoot and kill a few people there. And so Laura was one of the victims, and so what happens is that we have wonderful people in Orange County. They're very bright, very smart, but they will have a child that might have schizophrenia or be bipolar or have depression. And once they turn 18, they're out of the authority of the parents, and
Yes.
they start doing things. And so if they commit a crime, Laura's Law says, look, you now have the ability as a parent to ask the mental health director of the county to take your child in front of a judge, and that judge will then instruct the child or the adult to go through an assisted outpatient treatment program so that they could then be diagnosed, and then they could be medicated with the appropriate medicine to help them to normalize and return to a normal life and not have psychotic episodes. And what was interesting is that this bill, Laura's Law, which passed in 2002, the only county that adopted it was Nevada County. So in 2011 in Orange County, a young man who was homeless and schizophrenic, also the son of a police officer, found himself being encountered by 6 Fullerton Police Department members, and they decided that maybe he needed to learn a lesson because they didn't understand that he was mentally ill. They thought he was just being belligerent, and so they actually started to beat him up, pounded his face, and it was caught on video, and it was caught on audio as well. And it was the first time I heard the 3 words, "I can't breathe." And this young man, Kelly Thomas, would eventually die a couple days later from actually drowning in his own blood. And all these constituents in the county, a lot of these constituents came up to the Board of Supervisors meeting, and they went to the podium and said, you know, if you would have adopted Laura's Law, maybe Kelly Thomas would be alive today. Now, David, I'm not pre-med, I'm a business major. And so I had to learn a lot about mental illness and the rest. And so we worked for 2 years to try to figure out how to implement Laura's Law. We found that we were still dealing with the repercussions of the recession and didn't have the funding. So I went to State Senator Darrell Steinberg, who was the Senate Pro Tem of the Senate at the time. He was the author of Prop 63, which passed in 2004, which we call the millionaire's tax. So if you have $1 million or more in taxable income, you pay another 1%, and that money is used in the Mental Health Services Act to help with mental illness. And I asked him if he could do a bill so I could use a little bit of that funding to fund Laura's Law, which would help with my health department, my healthcare agency, and my public defender. And he did SB 585, and it passed through the legislature, was signed by Governor Brown, and Orange County became the second county to adopt Laura's Law. And now we have 17 other counties that have followed suit. We've had a few years, we did that in 2014. So we've had 6 years, it's been reviewed, and we're finding that studies are showing that maybe the other 30 plus counties should be adopting it as well because of the benefits. We're keeping people off the streets, we're keeping them out of jail with a good treatment program if it's followed properly. And so it's one of those little success stories that I have from being a county supervisor. But yeah, we carried it to the Senate. And so we've been doing a lot of research on what's called the Lanterman-Petrus Short Act. And if I could go a little longer, it would the LPS, the Lanterman-Petrus Short Act, was approved in the late 60s. There was a concern that maybe people in mental institutions were being treated properly, and that the institutions were sort of like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which was fiction. It wasn't a documentary, but they figured we should close these institutions and then move the mentally ill, severely mentally ill, into community facilities. Well, they never built the facilities, and they closed the institutions. And where did they go? They went on the street. And then where did they go after that? They went to our jails. So the largest mental institution in both Orange County and LA County is our central jails. And that is just wrong. So that's one of the projects I have. I had 5 bills this year to improve the status of mental health in California. But because of COVID-19, we had to reduce our bill load dramatically. And I'd like to bring those 5 bills back. But one of them is we've got to rethink what we're doing. We can't just leave mentally ill people on the streets in tents. It's just criminal to let these people die on the street. LA County, we have 3 people dying every day. Orange County, 1 a day. I mean, this is inhumane. We wouldn't let someone with Alzheimer's on the street, and we wouldn't let someone with a heart attack just go unnoticed. We'd take them to the hospital right away. So there. Thank you for asking a question. I'm a little passionate.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. We're going to take a short break right now here on the Black Conservative Voice. We'll be right back with you in a moment.
President Trump made a promise to protect our Social Security and Medicare. He kept that promise, and he always will. Today, Social Security and Medicare are strong, and under President Trump, they will never be cut. President Trump is protecting pre-existing conditions. Prescription drugs are more affordable. The cost of insulin is going down. Under President Trump, our benefits and our health care are safe and secure.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. I'm David Colbert. We're interviewing Senator John Moorlach, Republican from the Senate District 37. He's running for re-election there in that district. Now, John, before the break, you were telling me about the mental illness and the things that were going on in the area regarding Laura's Law and some other statutes and things that were being created dealing with mental illness, and probably drug abuse has a lot to do with it as well. But I just wanted to share something. First of all, my wife, she works here in the county that we're in. She worked for a mental health organization. She's been working there for about 5 years, and she deals a lot with people with intellectual developmental disabilities. But they also deal with schizophrenia, all these different type of mental disabilities, and it's a big problem here in the Texas area as well as some of our counties, and a lot of it needs to be dealt with better, but it's not. So we may need something here like that Law's Law here in this county. We have a really horrible use of methamphetamines here. I'm sure that fentanyl, some other drugs are present here in this area that are causing problems as well. But I wanted to share this quick story with you, and then we'll ask our final question. And that is that I was homeless in California. I wasn't on the street, but I had enough money to pay for my hotel. But at one point in my life, I actually was a homeless person on the streets of California. So I'm well aware how it is being out there and being no place, no real home. You had to go stay in a hotel every night or go here or sleep in your car, do things and things. So I've been through that experience myself. It's not a pleasant experience, but I understand that it's very important that we need to find some way to deal with this, because California has a major problem with this. And unfortunately, in Nancy Pelosi's district area there in California, up in San Francisco, it's a huge problem. In LA, it's a huge problem. I used to live in LA, as I said before, for about 6.5 years. But it's a major problem, and a lot of it is involved in exactly what you're saying. Mental health. If they can't keep them in a facility, they don't have a place to put them, then they end up on the street, and then you have a mental health thing on the street. Now, I don't know if there's any way they can resolve this issue. There's so many people that are out there. But I'm going to ask you a question now. Now, this question, since you've already been elected, it's kind of, in a way, a moot point, but I realize that even though that is, there are people that just came to California that may not know you, people that just come to Orange County. But why should the Californians and Senate District 37 reelect you to office? Why should they reelect you? What makes you better than the other candidate that's running against you in that district?
Great question. There are a few levels that question would bring me to pursue. The first is California in the state Senate has 40 seats. 29 are filled by Democrats and 11 by Republicans. So we have a supermajority. We need 14 Republicans to prevent a 2/3 bill from passing. Yes. So we already have a supermajority state. So to make it 30-10 would really make it a little unbalanced. And so the first response would be you need some balance. Two, you have someone in myself who has experience, who has served the community for 25 years in various capacities, and has access to just about everyone, and is well known by everyone, as opposed to my opponent, who's never served on a city council or any other community position. He's just hoping to get funded by the public employee unions, which are giving him a lot of money, and which would be the third part, and that is, who's going to run California? Is it going to be the public employee unions, or is it going to be the business community, or is there going to be some kind of balance? Right now, the public employee unions are running the state. We have one of the highest unrestricted net deficits of any state in the nation. We also have the highest pension liabilities, and we have the highest retiree medical liabilities, up to $91 billion. And we can't force all this debt on our kids and our grandkids. And if you are going to be a Democrat in Sacramento, you are not going to make any changes to these bargaining unit agreements or how our cities and counties are suffering with this massive debt. You are going to keep the status quo because it was the unions that got you there, and you're not going to upset them. So I am honored that the unions are going after me big time. I sort of feel like Luke Skywalker at the end of the movie Rogue One, where I'm just getting blasted by cannons nonstop. But this state needs a conservative voice in the Senate. You need someone to debate on the Senate floor and in committees. And I actually read the bills, and I come prepared to committee meetings, and I take them on, And you're going to lose that if you elect my opponent. You're not going to get anyone pushing back. So that would be my three reasons for saying that, you know, the voters would be better served by someone who has experience, has a network, but also does the job and provides a voice.
Well, I thank you, John, for that summation. But there was something on my mind. When you were talking about the public unions and stuff like that, that kind of got that thing in my mind, this socialist system that they are trying to establish in this country, the Democrat Party. It's another thing. Let's move along this socialist thing. Let's put everything under federal control and make the country or the government responsible for everything. And it seems like, unfortunately, that supermajority you have in California moving toward that. And we do need to get more Republican candidates out there running against these Democrats to get that state switched to red. I think it is. I believe that's the color. But anyway, so we need to switch it around. And I just want to thank you, Senator Moorlach, for joining us here, for giving me the opportunity to meet you. It's been a pleasure meeting you and speaking with you. And I want to tell everyone out there, get out and vote in the early elections, vote Republican, and stick with the Republican candidates, because the other ones, the Democrats, I'm sorry to say it, they do not care about the American people. Not really. They care about the almighty dollar. That's all they care about. If we can bring, as Senator Moorlach just said, they don't want to hurt their money coming in. They want to keep that money coming in. So they'll say anything, do anything to keep that money coming in. We see it in the federal level, and we see it now in a lot of the state levels in these super controlled Democrat states and cities. So once again, I thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice, and I thank you, Senator Moorlach. And I want to say to each and every one of you, this is David Colbert here on the Black Conservative Voice. I want to say God bless you and good night.
Do you care about Black lives? I do. And unlike the people that currently run Baltimore, I actually have a plan to make life better for Black people here. Walk with me. I want you to see this. I'm Kim Klasick. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This city was once among the most prosperous, populated, and powerful cities in America. So what happened? Our leaders abandoned us and Baltimore fell into ruin. But it doesn't have to be this way. None of this has to be this way. A broken Baltimore does not have to be our future. And that's why I'm running for Congress, because I see the city differently.
I walk the streets of Baltimore and see what could be. I want you to see what I see. I see Baltimore that picks up trash. There are piles of garbage all around Baltimore. It makes life unsafe for our families. I'll work with city leaders to get Baltimore's Solid Waste Bureau the resources it needs to take out the trash.
Our streets should be a reflection of our leaders. Clean, not dirty.
Much of our trash gathers in abandoned homes. There are over 17,000 abandoned buildings in Baltimore. They are a scar on the face of our city.
I will support tax credits and incentive programs to give residents a chance to buy and rehabilitate these homes. Everyone deserves a safe community and a chance at home ownership. Let's put the charm back in Charm City.
Who will live in these homes? The newly employed constituents of Baltimore City. This district needs more jobs. The best way to get them is by having businesses invest in our community. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act gives federal tax incentive to drive private investment into opportunity zones just like Baltimore. Who will work in all of these new jobs if we don't have an educated workforce? 9 out of 10 Black boys in Baltimore are not reading at grade level. Over a dozen high schools in Baltimore have zero students proficient in math. This is a tragedy. We can end the school to prison pipeline with school choice, providing parents with options to escape schools that do not serve our children.
Let's leave Baltimore better for our kids. Isn't that the point? That's my vision for Baltimore. The corrupt leaders hate it. They attack me for taking a stand, for wanting better for our people, our children, our communities. But I'm not the only one who wants better.
Tens of millions of you have shared the struggle of Black people in Baltimore. You lifted our voices. You cared about our Black lives more than our own Democrat leaders. They have done nothing for us. Now they can't hide. It's time for change. We are that change.
I'm Kim Klacik, and I'm running for Congress because I actually care about Black lives. All Black lives matter. Our communities matter. We matter. And Baltimore doesn't have to vote Democrat.